When world-renowned architect Arthur Erickson was hired to design the University Hall building at the University of Lethbridge, he would change the landscape of the west side of the city forever. While Erickson may have been the visionary of the building, one man who worked alongside him had arguably an even bigger influence on the way we see campus today. An engineer from New Zealand, Bob Baunton, came to Canada in the late 60s to work in what was a booming construction age. First working in Vancouver, Bob was eventually hired by Erickson as the structural engineer on the University Hall project.
Arthur looked out and sort of said, I have this vision the building will be flowing through the coulees. The original scheme of the university, and particularly seen from the other side of the river, it's a bit of an icon for Lethbridge. And he's created that, and it's like the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and it's a signature part of the city. Yeah.
In what was intended to be a 2-year stay, turned into several more years, with Bob and his wife making a home and raising a family in the city, before eventually returning to New Zealand. Recently back in town visiting family, Bob was invited back to campus to see how much has changed, and to tour the new hub for innovation and discovery, the Destination Project. While here, Bob sat down with University Archivist Mike Perry to chat about what it was like working with Erickson and to find out just how many projects Bob has been the structural mind behind on campus.
Yes, in fact, when I came over here, we had only supervising the construction of the University Hall only took about half my time, so the other half I worked with George Watson of Robbins Mitchell Watson at that time, right, and designing all the structure for the phys ed building, which was the gymnasium and the 3-story annex building alongside it.
Oh, the aperture.
Aperture? Yeah.
Did you do that?
I designed that. I donated my engineering time for that.
Did you design that?
No, Arthur Erickson designed the form of what he wanted.
Okay.
The sort of like the 2 children's building blocks.
Yeah.
And then I designed all the reinforcing and the foundations for that.
Okay.
We started work on the Art Centre.
Oh, in 1980.
1980 was
right,
1980
right.
would have been, sorry, yes.
Right, so the Centre for Performing Arts. Or,
yeah,
okay.
And so I was heavily involved in all that.
Okay, he did that too.
George Watson was the architect of it.
Right. So you helped him right from the beginning.
Yeah, and particularly I had a particular interest in theatre. My wife and I are involved in musical theatre and theatre here in Lethbridge.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So a lot of anything to do with the performing arts spaces, I was probably more heavily involved than a structural engineer would normally be.
Oh, okay.
I guess a little bit later we did the Max Bell Aquatic Centre.
Right.
To get all the architectural design and the structural design of that.
So overall, you were involved in this place right from 69 till
86.
Till 86. Mm-hmm. A lot of years. That's 17 years.
I would almost say that there's probably not a piece of concrete poured on this campus during that period that I didn't have some responsibility for.